24th was a budget.
For budget stuff, but I think we're okay too.
Okay.
Call the meeting to order. Have roll call. Roll call.
You can do it.
I do it. Thank you. Michael Bennett,
Yes, here, sorry.
Marvin Nash,
Present.
Mark Grant,
Yes.
here, Randall Lemon,
Yes.
Mike Somerville,
Excused.
excused, Todd Holland, here. All right,
Marv, will you review the invitation for us,
Yeah.
please? Thank you. Invocation.
Invocation.
Oh, yeah.
Invocation, so we can stand
We
and pray too.
Yeah,
And I was thinking about the pledge and then. Okay. Just bow our heads. Heavenly Father, our Lord Jesus Christ, we recognize you in our presence today. We ask that you give us guidance as we conduct township business, specifically with the Parks and Recreation Department. We thank you for all the wonderful gifts that you give us daily, particularly life. We want you to take care of our and protect our families. And we also want to have you protect members who are not here, who's part of the board itself. We offer these prayers to you in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I want to make a change
Oh, sorry.
for the voting, for the election of officers to the agenda for the next meeting. So Marvin motioned it
Yes.
Due to the absence of
due to the absence of Michael,
two other.
and
Other members.
Todd, the other members. So Marvin motioned it, I second.
Are we gonna go then to February 24th?
depending on how, sorry, can I talk here?
Yeah.
Depending on how everything goes, we might be able to either, I didn't realize that, we were talking about the election officers, maybe we're talking, but,
Yes.
might be able to just move out if we don't need to do the February 24th one until the next meeting,
April 1st.
April 21st, and push it out to that one.
Mhm.
So either the 24th or April 21st.
What was the reason for the two different dates for February?
That was in case we needed to get more information or anything. I was trying to make sure that we have everything ready for the budget before the budget goes in. That's the only reason I put the 24th in there.
So do we want to just put the next meeting, whether it be the 24th or
I think that's fairly good.
Yes.
okay. Restate your, whoever made the motion, restate that motion so we got it correct.
I can't. Okay, go ahead. Oh, to approve the.
Oh, the.
The motion to add,
Okay, you go ahead.
okay,
I'll suggest a change.
I motion that we add to the agenda tabling the election of officers until the next meeting, due in part to absence of key members of the board.
And I second.
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, now the full agenda.
Oh, okay,
So,
so
motion.
with those changes, I make a motion that we accept the agenda as with the adjustments that were made.
Support.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the past meeting minutes. At the meeting of December 23rd, 2024.
A motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
I support that motion.
Motion has been made and supported. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Parks report.
So it's been interesting with snow and trying to figure out the winter schedule. Hadley, Tulpa, and Duff done absolutely nothing there. Beagle Sports Park been in communication with Sinclair Recreation, and they know the groundwork is all set and it's ready for them to install the new playset. I've been keeping a few spikes opened up in the parking lot to make sure that we don't get snowed in. So if they say we can pull the trigger on installation, it's opened up and ready for them. At the equestrian park, been keeping the parking lot opened up, and instead of going knocking on doors like we discussed at the last meeting, we had talked with the Dalton Township supervisor, and both Fruitland Township and Dalton is gonna send out letters in the mail to all the property owners alongside the equestrian trail to try to take care of all the issues that we've been having. I had also received a phone call from a new landowner that's got a piece of property on the east side of it, and there's a trail that's going right through the middle of his property that he just got done buying. So I went out there and had checked it out, and sure enough, the property is right in the middle of one of the trails. Just today, I went out there and took out some of the markers, and I'm working on getting it rerouted around it. Landowner seems very happy with how everything's going, and the equestrian people are also working well with trying to reroute it. So hopefully everything continues to go smooth with that. I also put up some new trail markers, and will continue to do so. So I went out there for the first time and just tried walking some of it and seeing where some of these trails go to figure out why there's these problem areas. And there's the blue diamonds where you would go ride a horse, follow that, and then it ends up in the private property. So that's the reason I took out the blue diamonds and trying to close off them trails. And the bike path, I've been keeping the parking lot opened up on McMillan, as well as keeping the trail cleared between McMillan and River for anybody that wants to get out and walk it. I feel like I've been a lot busier than what that is, but so I got it written down as well.
Also the trail cams.
That's update for later, but
Okay.
did get the trail cams. But I just got one of them working today. I was fighting the SD card, so finally got that figured out, and those will be going up soon enough. I was told that the equestrian riders aren't so worried about the north side of the park at this very moment. I've been trying to figure out where exactly to put that camera up at.
How many cameras?
We got 4.
And we weren't gonna send the letter until we put up signage and put up the cameras, and then if we were still having issues, we were gonna send the letter and do the more heavy process, but figured we'd put out some signage that says, here, smile, you're on camera or something, so
So you were able to
People would be
view, I'm sorry, go ahead.
that's it.
You were able to view those remotely
Yes.
on your phone?
Yep.
That's great.
Yep. I've,
Solar powered.
yep, that's battery with solar backup. I don't know how that's gonna work yet, but I'm hoping it works good.
And with our lovely cloudy weather.
I know that's kind of it too.
And you're in the wooded area, so you got.
I'm hoping that the problem area is in the middle of the field.
Any letters going to the property owners that cameras are going up?
We were gonna hold off and see what it looked like after we put up the signage and have some of those things out. And then if we were still seeing some of that vandalism, then we were gonna send the letter. And then also we're going to coordinate with Fruitland so they could send it to their, because it does butt up against Fruitland
Okay.
property too. So it'd be anybody who's like an adjacent property owner around the horse trail.
You know, property owners should welcome something like that because it's just another layer of security.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a positive step
Mm-hmm.
on their behalf as well as ours.
And that was very novel to walk around there and actually make sure that our horse trail was not going across private property.
Makes sense to me.
Good deal.
Excellent.
Now,
So,
when it goes to your phone, is it recorded somewhere?
So it is on an app. Again, I just got this going today, so I don't know this whole thing a whole lot yet, but I had seen,
But
Um,
it's recorded to the SD card as well
Mm-hmm.
in them.
yeah, so there's an SD card, then it gets sent to my phone. This was just,
but you can,
yep, so this had sent to me from when I was trying to get.
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, with any type of movement, will it send a notification?
I believe
It
that
should,
does, yes.
Okay.
Night vision as well, infrared.
Mhm. Yeah, it's meant for hunting, so I would think that it's got all
On the pictures.
the night stuff and
If you guys want to figure out the ins and outs of this, by all means, you can help me learn how to use it because I don't know yet.
So we like it when you tell us, okay?
Chain play around with.
Have fun.
Is that in the Parks report?
Yes.
Move on. Public comment on any agenda items? No public comment. All right, now we're into decision items, and the first decision item is the bylaw. And we'll review, there's a couple changes have been made to the bylaws that we had passed last meeting on the 23rd. And so we have to re-adopt these with the changes in there. And if Heather could help us, help summarize for us where these changes were made and what they're about.
yes, so most of it is actually going to be in where at the very beginning in Article 1, there's Section 3 and Section 4. The reason for that was just taking the actual language that was used in the resolution to form the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee and adding that in there. So it says the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee was formed to advise the Dalton Township Board of Trustees for the following parks and recreation areas, and then it lists all of them, but excluding the cemeteries. And then duties of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. The Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee is charged with advising Dalton Township Board of Trustees by submitting reports concerning budgeting, projects, and other work related to park and recreation areas. And those were just copied and deposited from the resolution.
The removal of that second advisory, is that Do we need to make a motion to do that, or is that just kind of a cosmetic?
That, I think just we can, I don't know that you need a motion for it, but we will we can make a motion to adopt them with that and the approval of some of those cosmetic changes too, when you guys do approve them. Just noting that, like the page numbers
the other
and
thing is
will
there's
be adjusted.
There's some formatting inconsistencies, and so someone needs to go through carefully and make sure the formats match up, like on page 3, would be Article 1, Section 3. Section 3, the font and the removal, the font for those isn't the same as anywhere else, so that font needs to be fixed, you know. And then you go on further here, page 6. Then the indented paragraphs are numbered differently. And, you know, the font again, and one it's a number, a numeral, and then 1 or a diamine, and then the other place is a numeral with parentheses. Those are cosmetic things that need to be done on that. Any other questions?
So I guess my question would be, do we need to make those changes? I probably would need to make those changes before we approve it, finalized, right?
That's a good question, and that was what my question was to Heather. They're more cosmetic, they don't change the essence of the bylaws, so my thinking on it is that we can approve the bylaws with the recommended cosmetic changes.
I agree.
If I'm the chair, I can't do that.
And make the motion to accept these bylaws and pass these bylaws as written with the appropriate cosmetic changes. As noted.
And the redaction of the extra advisory word.
Yeah, and the redaction of
Actually,
the extra advising word. So Article 1, Section 3, need to take out the word advising. Because it's already formed to advise for the following.
That's form to advise the Dalton Township Board of Trustees advising.
Take that, redact that, yep.
Remove that advice.
Mhm.
Just grammatically, it's not correct.
do I have a support?
Support.
Because this is, we're adopting the bylaws and going to the board, we need to have a roll call vote. Heather, would you lead the roll call vote?
Yes.
Marvin,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
and then absent is Todd and Mike Somerville.
Moving on. Okay, the election of officials has been removed till the next meeting. Legal basketball court and tennis court.
So I've got a few different quotes. Was able to get one from Sport Court Construction out of Paw Paw, Michigan. I was probably shocked at this one, but it is for $115,000 and some change. And this is for like a rubber mat type overlay over the basketball court. It looks nice. And then I was able to get another one. As you guys know, I've had a very hard time getting quotes.
Is that the size of what is there?
Yes.
120 by 130?
Yep.
But they're excluding 10 by 70.
It's a shape. A lot of pictures and whatnot that they've sent me to get different information on. Is it something that if you are interested in? One that I think makes more sense is the next quote by Spartan Sport Services for 4,700 and some change.
47,000.
Thank you, 47,000, thank you. And that even that's pretty expensive. But that includes filling in all the cracks, doing everything to make it so this is a playable court. Well, I've been really thinking would work well prior to this was for myself to just go fill in all the cracks and make it playable. But if we were to do this, it wouldn't have any of the dead spots for pickleball or tennis that you would with me doing it myself. So a lot of cash, but I think that this isn't a terrible option. And also have everything that's included with this quote is their crack repair system. They've got different binders to help make it work. Then that also included painting the court. And
Spartan's bid?
what's that?
Spartan's bid includes
Yeah,
paint.
Spartan. Yep. That includes painting it, and at the end of it, it will look similar to what these other quotes have. What the rubber mat, and it's not the rubber mat type. Let's see. We have right way true bounce crack repair, and you can see it looks something like this. And you can kind of see what it looked like before and after. So it actually looks like an actual tennis court. And they have some more information about how they
What
can-
is this right way? Is this what
Yeah, this
Spartan is using?
yes.
Okay.
Yep, so all the right way stuff is still the Spartan quote.
So, let me back up a minute to get my head on this. So, are they making this so that the tennis court can be used as a pickleball court?
Yep, can do that. And we can, yeah, and you can have it painted that way. And I see no issue with that. The reason why I'm actually thinking that this is a much better option than the rubber mat or even me doing it myself is if they can take that tennis court and also make it a pickleball court. Then down the road, we're not gonna look at building another pickleball court, something like that.
Yeah, I don't.
So we could essentially do a lot more with the money that way.
I think technically the tennis court can be made into two, because pickleball courts are much smaller, I think.
Yes, they are.
So I
Yeah.
think you can actually make them two, you'd have to put a fence between, but you could make it two pickleball courts.
Alright.
How bad are the cracks down there? I should go take a walk.
Yeah, they are, some of them up to an inch wide. And
How much heaving?
it's pretty flat.
Okay. So that makes it better.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
And I haven't
heaving is
been out-
the issue.
What's that?
The
heaving
heaving is
normally
really
issue.
the issue.
Right, yeah, and I haven't been out there at the level, but it doesn't like it's really uneven, just the cracks are bad.
Spartan did go out and look at the location. Or did they not?
I believe so, because I had talked with Spartan, I've gotten a quote with them before, and that was to What was that quote?
Just as long as if we decided to go that route, we don't have any surprises.
Right. Yeah, I have been in contact with Spartan quite a bit. They originally did not plan on doing new, they're only gonna do the painting. And I do believe that they had been out there and they know how bad the cracks are. I've
Yeah. that
talked
makes-
with them very heavily.
Okay.
Okay, Justin, at one point you mentioned that you were contemplating doing some fill in the cracks.
Yep.
Like prep work to it. Is that still a consideration? Or
That's kind of up to you guys, I guess.
that leads to the next question, that if we did that type of prep work, would it reduce the cost?
So for the prep work that I would do is this. where's that?
That right way?
And it's a gamble because it could go really right and it could go really not right,
Right.
like the prep work. And then they're gonna have to fix
Yeah.
some of
Yeah.
the stuff too, because Justin's never done
So
that kind of a project before.
Okay,
for this right way one, they've got a list further up here. Sorry, let me get my ducks in a row. They've got a whole rundown on what they would do. And I'm not gonna lie, it looks like foreign language to me for half of it. They start with an acrylic resurfacer, a 55-gallon drum, then another one with a 30-gallon drum with sand, then a neutral concentrate. I don't know if that's or what that is. Then we have the pigment further down. So I don't really know what they have. I had looked at what it takes to do it, and for the right way application, seemed like it had to be very clean slate to pour their stuff in. And I can't guarantee that I can get it clean enough to make it so that system works well. So my thought, if I were to do it myself, and I don't have a problem doing it, but it's not going to look as nice and playable as this.
I think that we should definitely look at having them. The contract with them should say that they're going to follow right ways guidelines that they provided for us.
Yeah. And they
And it
do
should
have.
say, we're going to follow their guidelines and we're going to do everything that it says on here. And hold them accountable and have them do it. I don't think that this kind of an investment should be done by
staff.
somebody who's got a big heart, but has never done it.
Right.
It's okay learning, but that's the reason why this seal coat one that has $36.14, that's per gallon of the stuff. And I believe that we were looking at doing maybe 30 gallons of it, basically just pouring it in the cracks. But then with that, we're going to get the dead spots for pickleball if we went that route. And it's basically just putting a Band-Aid on this. I believe
Yeah,
that
when
we're
you've got
going.
somebody that's guaranteeing
Yeah.
Yeah,
that you're using the taxpayers' money for this,
one, right.
this is definitely the better route.
So my suggestion to Justin was in the motion to not necessarily accept the company, but because we're coming into the budget season. So like if we were gearing more towards that, this sounded like the better option. Making the motion for being okay to spend that 50,000, he can still get additional quotes from other places, but that it's the motion to have it at least up to that. So if there's nothing that compares to that, we can still approve to use that company.
No.
Okay,
Just
so
gives
you
a
want
little bit of
secure
wiggle.
funding for it.
Yes, it just gives a little bit more wiggle room, and then the board would approve in the budget packet if that was something that we would be able to finagle in in the budget.
And what I would recommend then for budget purposes, add 10% to Spartan's or their quote, just for give us some flexibility, because like if we say they need to do the right way, or that may cost a little more for them than what they would want to do.
Well, this, they're, from what I understand, their quote
Mhm.
includes using right.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah, they're the ones that had sent me all the information.
okay.
But what Heather suggested is
But
that
I-
we go to that $50,000 mark, so we have a little bit.
Well,
That's-
I was saying 10% would be appropriate, which would make it 52,000.
Foreseeing.
Okay, we have the request for consideration, and right now the summary of the request is a motion to advise the recommended budget to the Board of Trustees for the basketball tennis courts at Beagle Field Park. And then there's a dollar sign amount. So I need someone to make that motion.
Okay, I'll motion that, request a spending amount of $52,000 for the renovation of the courts, tennis and pickleball courts at Beagle Field.
I'll support.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote on this again.
Do you want to do that just now?
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to use this. So for roll, I see it's right here in front of me. Thank you for your patience. Roll call. Michael,
Yes.
Marvin,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
and Mike's not here, and Todd's not here. So I'll approve. Now, do I need to do anything? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay. My agenda goes. Lots of the paper.
So you know who the motion-
Okay.
Sure, thank you. Next item is Beagle Roof. That's on the pavilion, right?
So still working on getting quotes for it. This is the same quote that was in the last one, just using it as a ballpark.
You know how many square? Does it say?
I do not know. But I'm still working on it, but I wanted to get this in here so that we're not hung up on the budget for the upcoming year. Not saying that we will use, I can't see who this was.
57.9, $5,790.
Yeah. Not saying that we would use the company that had given us this quote, but
So what is the only one you got?
yeah, so this way we have ballpark on what to approve for the budget. I was thinking probably go up to, let's say, $6,000 for the roof there, and hopefully I can find some better quotes for then.
$6,000 only gives you a $200 leeway. Is $200 enough?
Well, I know that I can get this one for 57, so I was thinking at least.
That's why I was wondering what the square was, cause
What is a high end?
we don't have any
Yeah.
other bids than that. That's the problem.
Yeah. I guess my question would be, what is the assessed damage to the roof that need repairing or refurbishing?
So there was some,
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
there's some shingles that had blown off last season. I went up there, repaired the ones that had blown off, and that was fine. Then I had went back out there a few weeks later and seen some different shingles that had blown off. So,
If a professional roofer come out and says, well, you need the whole roof repaired
right.
or resurfaced, we should keep that into consideration too.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Yeah.
Is doing the whole roof
For this amount?
for this.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot,
No.
but I don't know how many squares that is.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how many square it was. He had came out here and gave me this estimate. He was on the property, measured it, and
What is that? 40 by 40 or bigger?
I have no
I don't
idea.
know.
Maybe
I need to
for,
get my own
I
bio.
think 10 picnic tables. That's what I know. I've got no idea what that
Would
says.
it be worth it to look into potentially doing metal on it? I know that would be a little bit more costly, but that pavilion's gonna be there for a while. There's metal on the dugouts.
Yeah, I had looked into metal for.
I know it's more expensive, so.
Yep. I actually threw that estimate out because it was 15 grand.
Okay.
And I felt like that was pretty expensive for a pavilion.
Mhm.
My question would be, do we have money available to do the repairs now, or are we trying to request funds in the spending package?
So there will be money in the budget. But this is more like for the bigger projects, just knowing what amount of money needs to be in there and then what is gonna be left over for extra things, like things that we run into throughout the year. This can be, if we're not like 100% sure, wanna get more quotes, we can hold off on the roof stuff. Because we also will have quarterly budget adjustments. So if we go into the budget and realize, hey, we really needed to do the roof, it's gonna be more than what we had initially put in the budget. And then we can,
So in other words, we
Get
don't need to make it much higher. We can go with his recommended 6,000 and then we can make a budget adjustment.
I'm
if
putting
we
a
need it.
buffer in the budget too, so, cause I know that there will be things that come up like, you know, what if something happens to one of the roofs on the dugouts, or something at Catalpa needs to be done, or, you know, there's all these other things that factor into it, so there will be a buffer in there too,
Okay,
so.
So we do have time.
We do have, the budget meeting is at the end of March.
Okay.
So there's not gonna be time to change what I'm putting in there, but if you guys go in and dip into that buffer and there needs to be more money put in because we did this special project, we would have to do it in a quarterly budget adjustment. But it could be factored in, so. It's just the big projects, like obviously the 50,000 for the courts is substantial, so we just have to make sure that that's available. But I think stuff like this, we can maneuver as needed, so.
Okay.
And this is Premier, right?
Is that the-
Yes, I think that is what it was. I don't know how you even found that. Nice. Oh,
It's down here at the bottom, Premier Representative.
yep. No.
But it was also on something earlier that I could read.
Perfect. Thank you.
It also gives us time to get some other.
They're a decent company. I've never heard
Yeah.
anything bad about them at all.
Right.
I'm around a lot of roofers. So it's not that it's a bad quote. I
we
just like-
we just need
Most
to
of them
get
do
some,
like squares.
we just need to get some money in the budget for it.
Right.
For-
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think if you guys went with the 6 because it was just a little bit up, or even put in for 7, I think that was well within what we had in the packet stuff earlier that I was showing you. for the budget, so.
I motion that we approve $6,000 toward the budget for the roof to replace the roof at the pavilion at Beagle Field.
All support?
Roll call.
Michael,
Yes.
Marvin,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
all approved.
All right, next one is, the GeoWeb.
So I've been trying to find out who has done a boat launch with GeoWeb. And nobody around us has used it before. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I have gotten some pictures that's just generic ones out from their website over here if anybody'd like to take a look at them. But they have a quote for 3,300 and some change for the GeoWeb system itself, which is basically like rebar type webbing to make sure that the dolomite doesn't slide around. Originally, the thought with this boat ramp was to do like go dredge out and then put some wood slats throughout there to make it so it doesn't wash away. I don't know which way to go, to be honest with you. But if we at least have it in the budget for this, then we're ready for that. I did call around and the dolomite itself would be 3,100, if I'm not mistaken, through R&R. Yeah, 3,100 for the dolomite at R&R, and that is 60 yards. That would be 6 inches deep for the 31 foot by, I rounded up to 100 foot, I believe that's 90 feet long. That's 6 inches deep, it's 60 yards for $3,100 for the dolomite.
Is Dolomites approved?
That's,
The DNR?
I don't know about the
It's
DNR,
mine.
but I had asked R&R if what they would recommend for a boat launch. They recommended dolomite. That's a great question about.
I would want to know what the environmental impact is on the fish, because that is the line, right?
It's a good point.
Also, there's going to be some need for some special erosion control because we're working in the water, we're doing that. I would suggest at least $1,000 in there just for the temporary erosion control.
So if it was to be dolomite and we did the GeoWeb, that is going up to,
I come up with 7,500 roughly.
yeah,
So this geo webbing stuff, they come out and install that?
that is just the product itself. That would be for us to install in-house.
Imagine, is it simple? Will you just lay it out,
It
throw
doesn't look too complicated,
dirt on it, and you're good to go?
pretty
Yeah,
much.
well, what it is, it's like an accordion. You spread it out, you put stakes in the ground to hold it apart, and then you fill in each of the cells with the dolomite. And by confining the dolomite, it helps to support the loads rather than it. Otherwise, the dolomite lay out and so on.
So you're building a foundation.
Yes.
basically.
That's what it
And
is.
instead of stakes, it's actually little keys, if I'm not mistaken reading it. So it's interesting. It's a pretty cool system. I've never heard of it until you mentioned it, and it looks pretty cool.
I've seen it installed, but
So-
Still make?
Yeah.
Oh, then it's probably fine.
So,
And with the cells, it's gonna be confined to that space.
I believe that we go up above the cells just slightly.
yeah.
Seems pretty straightforward. And when you've seen it get installed, it didn't look terrible, right?
No, you could see the stuff, the cell walls of it. You could see them, but no, it didn't look terrible.
And I'm
But again, when I saw it, it was newly installed. I don't know how it looked after a while.
I guess what I meant is it didn't look like it'd be terrible to install. Like I'm not.
No. In fact,
it's too simple.
it in one location, it was installed by a volunteer group.
Okay.
The contractors provided the dolomite and they drop it off there and they would, by wheelbarrow, would fill in the holes and stuff. So it was done by a volunteer organization, so.
How durable, I mean, not durability, but yeah, how long will this last? Is it for
That-
years?
Unfortunately,
What are the cells made of?
high density polyethylene,
Oh, so they'll last from.
yeah.
Okay. And no ground shifting or anything of that, no
No.
nature, nothing?
Even
Water?
with the ground shifting, it works with the ground.
Okay.
Take a look at those to get an idea of what it is.
So that's what cells.
Do you have a lot of fishing on that lake?
I don't think live fishing, the reason why we're going with Catalpa first is to make sure that we could in fact put the system in for, it said 7,500.
Mhm.
And if we can do this boat launch for 7,500, then we know that we can do the other boat launches in the upcoming years or under 10 grand ideally.
Okay,
But we don't want to go do Middle Lake when they're in the middle of fishing season and basically
Mhm.
learning how to do it
yeah,
and end up messing up that ramp. Catalpa doesn't get used that much, but if we had boat launch, maybe it would.
Mhm.
But at least,
You'll know how the installation and stuff
Yes.
goes.
What
Yeah.
would we have in the equipment? Are you
Yeah.
gonna have to rent?
got that tractor, it's,
I just don't know if you
No.
would have the ability to pull
Dredge that out.
to dredge that out without renting an
Yeah.
actual excavator.
might need to, haven't gotten that far yet.
So we need to have something in there for an excavator for a few days.
Correct. So the whole thought with this was, Jeff had applied for this, what's the Eagle permit to get this boat launch and learn how to do this, so then we could go do the other ones. I didn't even know that this could be something in this year, and then it came across our desk, but hey, it got approved, so
Yes.
might as well try to do it.
Mhm.
That's kind of where we're at.
All right.
With that being said, I don't think it's gonna suck doing it, but I think that it will be good once that gets done.
Justin, do we have the capacity to do it?
I think that we do.
I think we do.
Yep, I think that we do, even if we do have to go rent some machinery to get it done. We can make it happen. And I already have planned on hiring additional help for this year.
Okay, good.
For this project as well as Beagle, and we're able to rock out everything in past season okay. near the end of it, my guys who done a great job all season, we're like, oh, we could really use another guy. It's like right at that cost. So I believe that hiring another guy this season and getting done these projects during the not so busy time will work out great.
Just, would the county be able and willing to help us with this one?
The county,
Road commission.
County Road Commission?
I don't know what to even ask them about that.
Yeah. I don't know. Like as far as like,
Because is this in a,
They
County
may have
right
somebody
away?
that's training on a piece of equipment. If they don't,
mhm,
we've got the folks up at the
are you talking about
What's it
the
called? McCormick or Nugent?
no,
Accurate.
no, I'm thinking the
military, the National
military
Guard?
base up in
Yeah.
Montague.
Yep, that's not a bad idea either.
They
That's-
they
that's a
offered
good
to
idea.
help our
Mhm.
past, I should be saying in this meeting. They offered to help at one point.
That's not a bad idea to reach out to them though.
The county person
Probably like
that
that.
they asked
Mhm.
wouldn't allow it, but because they're always doing some sort of training. So
Mhm.
Okay.
that could be something that they would be something worth looking into.
Mhm. It's not a bad idea.
Or I can talk to my sister at the county. Might talk to me, I don't know.
do I have a motion?
So what do you need? What?
Well,
A lot of things with this project.
yeah, my thought is to basically get it approved to get this in the budget. And by all means, we can happily talk about coming into the next meeting. When was that? In April, I think. To discuss what route we want to go, if we want to do interface or if we want to do wood. We can happily talk about that more later, but I want to make sure
That's
that's,
something that would last longer than anything. man.
yeah, I think that this pretty good system.
So what ballpark number I think is what they're, like, what number are you
Okay.
thinking in regards to all of it added together?
Like $9,000.
That's
Yeah,
what I wrote
probably
down.
7,500 was for all the material, and then
Equipment and whatever, might add a couple more,
2 grand for
yeah.
that. So yeah, I think 9-10 grand would be good to approve for that.
Okay, so I move that we put into the budget $10,000 expenditure for the boat launch development at Catawba. And this is for the 2025 budget.
Support.
Okay, roll call.
Michael,
Yes.
Marvin,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
all approved.
Okay, now, discussion items. Trail cams updated.
So as we had talked about a little bit earlier, we did get all the trail cams, just got one of them activated today. And gonna be playing around to learn the ins and outs of them. And I will be, hopefully this week, be putting some up. That's it for the update there.
Engineering update.
The Board of Trustees had discussed this and they're thinking it can be done more on a case by case basis.
Hmm.
That's kind of all I've got for the update.
Mhm.
Then you got, every time you do it on a case by case basis, you gotta go through the process of selection and advertising and selection and so on.
Yeah, I know that one thing that they're worried about was, let's say that there is a grant for a new podium. And this podium manufacturer only will take quotes from this engineer over here compared to this engineer here. But we hired this engineer for the township, which means that we're paying the township over here. But then we need to pay more to hire the one that they will accept. I think that wording was right. Please, somebody correct me if I worded that wrong.
You get the gist of what you're saying.
You know, when you have a standing contract for engineering services, that doesn't mean you have to use their services. If you want to use somebody else for a specific job, you're not locked in to them. You know, they can't do anything unless the supervisor gives them an order to do, you know?
I would hope that the township would have retained an engineering firm that any other part of the governmental structure could use them because they have the resources to do that. If we as a subcommittee tried to go ahead and get an engineering firm, how are we gonna pay for that? And so,
I think the reason why it is in there as a case by case basis is because some of the things that we're doing, we don't necessarily need engineering for. Some of the things we do. Now, when you look at like the stuff that the planning commission's going into, building new areas, all that stuff, roads, we're gonna need to have engineering to figure out how wide our roads have to be, and so there will be some that we have to call in to use that. But then do we really want to pay a retainer on something that we're not using very often? And then like he was saying about the grant process, we did go through the process, we did get denied, but we went through the process of trying to get a Sparks grant. And that was for park specific. And they would only use a few engineering firms to take those recommendations in at the state level for that Sparks grant. So then we end up in that, awkward place of, hey, we've retained you, but we can't use you, and so it is more, or how often are we going to use it, versus just being able to go out and get those quotes when we need it. So.
when I was making my comment in reference to retainer, I was hoping that the township had a retainer on a specific engineering firm that we as a subcommittee could utilize. For us to try to have an expenditure for a engineering firm, and we don't use them as frequently as the cost would prohibit, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we're not using it as often as I feel like the cost would. Because it is very case by case too, so, I don't know the times that we've, other than that Sparks grant, that we've had to use an engineer. When we did the stuff out in those developments, the contractors paid for their engineers on those big developments, so I don't know how, if you guys get into a thing where you're needing it, like you want to apply, like, for instance, the Sparks grant, like you guys want to apply for those things, that that's something that's coming up, and then that's when we would have to go ahead and get, at our level, would get that,
For sure.
make sure that happens, so. I don't know, in your guys' aspects, what are you thinking that there might be that would pop up that you would need?
What I'm
Engineering
thinking is
for.
over on Middle Lake, we're talking about maybe in the future, a walking trail in the wooded part. And then we got some improvements along the embankment and maybe adding some parking area to it. And all of that, we would probably have to have a grant, that's an expensive
Right.
project. But in order to get a grant, we're gonna have to have the engineering drawings and so on for that. That's what we're gonna need the engineering services for sure.
Right, and that's something that we could, if we do decide to go down that process, it would be very similar to the Sparks grant. Where, that they're gonna recommend certain ones or, so that's something that we can cross that bridge when we get to it and look into what that cost would add for getting those quotes into grants, so.
Anything more on the engineering update or done with that?
That was all that I had.
Moving on, Tulpa Park, road work, update.
So I just basically want to touch base on this because I know that we had talked about it in the past. And I thought that it was something that I was gonna have to ask you guys to get a recommendation to bring to the board. And because the road commission had actually suggested that we do this, we don't have to bring it to the board, and it is something that we can just move forward if the board decides to itself and do so out of their own funding. So I just basically wanted to give you guys an update on that instead of, okay, we're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah, I don't think that we would, like, I don't think the board would ever want the parks funds to come, like, parks funds shouldn't pay for the roads. We have road funds to pay for the roads, so if that is like and the road commission had noted that there was the water flooding and stuff like that on that road, so it's something that we will get quotes and stuff through the road commission to figure out how much it would cost to get that leveled out, so.
Good news.
Yep. If I could add one thing before we go to the end here. Just for the board's awareness, the trail system that we talked extensively about, I think we had 3 different locations. That was brought up at our board meeting, and the discussion was that we should fix what we have. So the parks that we have now, that we need to do repairs on and bring up to speed. That was the discussion, is that's where our money should go for now. Down the road, maybe we can talk about trails, but yeah. So anyway, just an update.
Thank you that you did that because I did drop the ball on doing an update on that.
Thanks a lot, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, that's all I have.
And with that, in that regard too, the Village of Lakewood Club would be very interested in being a part of any discussions on the trail, particularly when they get in the vicinity of the club.
And that's obviously it's open meetings, so have come in public comments. How far would they be?
Right.
Not trying to ask a stupid question, actually.
Yeah, if it's on Dalton, if it's Dalton Township, they can come in and give, like, somebody from the board could come here, give a comment on what their opinion is on it. But if it's township property, then they do their parks and then we do. So if we had something that was adjacent, it would still be up to you guys and ultimately the board.
I think the thing that the village is interested in is making sure points meet, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense to
Right.
work together to make one system bigger. That's no issues in my mind.
Okay, public comments? No public to comment? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And moved and seconded, all in favor say aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.
Okay. No meeting on the 24th, correct?
Yeah, I think that we're set.
Good. Want to make sure.
Yep, so I will make a posting that is not gonna happen. So, according here.
Yeah, that